All right, back here on the podcast talking some pop culture with Jon Stanko. A double dose of Jon Stanko. The audience is absolutely thrilled this week, John.
Listen, Mike, I am thrilled to be here with you. And today we're talking movies, which you know I'm always a fan of. So very excited.
Yeah, we just talked about the end of The Last Dance. We had our thoughts there. Now we're going into your wheelhouse, which is the movies. And you're going to help me with some interesting stuff here because today we're doing something that's been long teased. I have mentioned the Netflix DVD queue on this podcast many times to both you and our pop culture correspondent, Sam DeRosa. And I've said today you're going to help me rearrange it to get the optimal viewing experience out of the 33 or so movies I have on there.
It's true. And what you're doing to me, Mike, is you're putting me on the spot because I don't know any of the movies on your list. So this is a surprise for me, and you're catching me off guard, but I like it.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. We'll do that in just a minute. Before we go there, though, I want to touch base with you because the Westworld season finale aired a couple of weeks ago. I have not gotten your thoughts on it on the air. So what was your takeaway from the end of the season?
I'm going to be honest, Mike. The second half of season 3 was not nearly as strong as the first half. While the show looked visually stunning throughout the entire 8-episode run, I think episodes 5 through 8 were particularly not very good, especially the season finale. I was incredibly disappointed. I know you went in deep into it with your own podcast, but there were a ton of plot holes and kind of stupid story decisions that happened that I wasn't a fan of. I think they got too complicated for their own good. I think they kind of even the most diehard fans left confused, and that's really hard to do on a show like Westworld. So when you have the Reddit community befuddling for answers, then you're in trouble. So I wasn't a huge fan at the end of season 3. Was disappointed on mine after the season finale.
Yeah, so I'm going to take a stab in the dark there and say that your big thing that you were not thrilled was basically the turn that Dolores' plan takes, where she basically changed her motivation in the last second.
Yeah, that was definitely something I didn't think they built up to enough. I don't think they built up to Maeve switching sides to agree with Dolores enough. I don't know why The Rock had to be there in person at all for the final climactic episode when he could have been a hologram and nobody would have known. I don't get the point of Bernard and Stubbs the whole entire season. Their last 3 episodes, they literally did almost nothing except share a few lines and get William out of the psych ward. But then the biggest thing that really kind of made me angry was that the post-credit scene is killing off William, right? Yep. And one of the biggest questions for the entire show was whether or not William was human or not. We were asking that question: Is he human? Is he human? And then you reveal it at the end in a post-credit scene, like after their season's technically over. That's not payoff. That's kind of cheaping out on your audience. I was really not a big fan of that decision either.
Yeah, I feel like the post-credits things come very popular with the Marvel movies. So when they first did with Iron Man 1, which is in the Netflix queue, and like today, but I feel like everybody now says, "Oh, I have to do a post-credit scene," and I feel like that does kind of do lazy storytelling there to a degree.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is with Marvel is that they're never answering a question that like you were burning to ask. Like it was always revealing the next step, if you will. This one, they revealed the next step with Charlotte and where she's working at Delos, which she can just get a job there again. Great, fantastic. But they literally answered one of the biggest burning questions for 2 straight seasons in a span of 30 seconds. So I was really bummed by that, and I wasn't very happy with that. I was very disappointed. And I'll say that season 4, as of right now, is not going to be appointment viewing for me. I'll watch the episodes, but as of right now, it's not going to be Sunday night, Monday morning viewing.
So it's back to your, Tuesday, Wednesday afternoon. If I'm at work and I have nothing going on, that's going to be when Westworld pops up for you.
Yeah, basically, it's going to be when I'm done with work and I need something to work out to. I'll throw it on the TV or whatever while I'm eating dinner, but I'm not going to stay up late on a Sunday night and watch it. There are better shows now on Sunday night that are more appealing than Westworld. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm sorry. I like the show. I really liked the first half of the season, but then it just got too convoluted and took too many turns for its own good.
Yeah, so we'll put the Westworld to the back burner. Now we'll have some fun. The activity today is my Netflix DVD queue, counting the ones to sing in my house since January, which I'm going to get to like this week after I finish up this big project I'm working on. So once this is done, I'm going to watch that. I'm going to send it back. But I do have 33 more movies on the queue. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read them off. You are going to react to it, and we're sort of going to reorder the queue. so that like I have a more effective order to view these movies in. And when we're done, you are gonna have a couple of suggestions. You can just insert wherever you want in the list to help enhance my viewing experience and broaden my horizons a little bit. Because you will see once it gets to a certain point here, you'll see where your influence starts to pop up on the list.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. Again, 33 movies. I don't know any of them. So, all right, Mike, let's do this. What do you got on your list? I'm curious.
All right, so in case you are curious, the one that is sitting at home right now and the Netflix DVD plan, basically what I have is I get one DVD at a time. I watch it, I can keep it as long as I want, and then I send it back. The movie that is sitting at home right now is Iron Man 1.
Okay. You have not seen the original Iron.
This is a rewatch, Iron Man 1.
Okay, so you're watching Iron Man 1. Gotcha.
Iron
Man 1 is good. It's the one that started it all off, and it's objectively a very good movie. I thoroughly enjoyed the first Iron Man.
Yeah, so to give you a frame of reference here, I think this is the point of the situation here where I think this is right before Avengers Endgame came out. I basically put a bunch of them in to try and rewatch some of them. Thor came early, so Thor is not on the list, but the next one up on the queue is Incredible Hulk.
The Incredible Hulk with Edward Norton?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So here's the thing. I like that movie a lot more than most. A lot of people banished it from the Marvel movie universe, if you will. But I am actually a bigger fan than most of that movie.
Yeah, so we will leave it number 1 where it is right now. We will see if your mind changes. Next up, Iron Man 2.
Iron Man 2 is hot garbage, so that's going to be down at the bottom.
Yeah, that one is very polarizing.
Nothing else to add. It's not good.
Yeah, very polarizing, very clunky way to introduce Black Widow into the cinematic universe. I can see the reason why you were going to drop this one.
And the movie's about the suit. It's not about the character. It was weird to me when I saw it, and I haven't gone back to visit it because it left no big impact. Otherwise, it's like I didn't like it.
Yep, so right now we are sticking with the original order here. We have Incredible Hulk 1, Iron Man 2 at 2. Next up, the last of the Phase 1 movies, Captain America, the First Avenger.
All right, well, here's the thing. I didn't like the first Captain America very much. Wasn't a big fan. It was a little too hokey for me. I didn't love Red Skull. So that one's going to be low on the list, and probably people would like to think. Wasn't a big fan.
Okay. Now I have one coming in here. I think they'll be interesting for you because you remember I've said that I'm about like a year and a half behind usually on my movie queues.
Yeah, you are.
A Quiet Place is next up.
Oh, well, you got to see The Quiet Place before the sequel comes out later this year, whenever that is. I'm a huge fan of The Quiet Place, and that was one of my favorite movies the year it came out. I believe it was 2018. Big fan.
Did that go to number 1 right now? Is that past Incredible Hulk?
Yeah. I'm just listing them right now in the order you have them, but as of right now, yes, A Quiet Place would for sure be number 1 on this list, and it's not even close at the moment.
Okay, so we'll keep going down. We'll discuss it all at the end. I'll let you list it out for me.
Well, here we go. I'll start rescheduling as we go. But yeah, you keep going down your list.
Number 5 on the list right now, Ready Player One.
Okay, Ready Player One, Steven Spielberg special effects bonanza, ton of pop culture references. So I think you're gonna like this one quite a bit. It's polarizing amongst the people who I talked about it with, whether it was a great movie or a great homage. So I'll be curious to get your opinion once you see it.
Yeah, this is one where I basically saw the trailer in the theaters, and I did say, this is one that's interesting, but I don't want to spend the $13 for a movie ticket. So this is one I just throw on the Netflix queue. I tend to do that, where it's like, I'm okay seeing it later, but I don't want to spend the money on it to go get the movie ticket. Next up, number 6, Deadpool 2.
Deadpool 2. Not as good as the first Deadpool, but still incredibly enjoyable and debaucherous. Josh Brolin, I believe this came out the same year as Infinity War. So he had Thanos, and he was also in Deadpool 2, two of the biggest superhero grossing movies of that year. So I like Deadpool 2 quite a bit. Quite a bit.
Yeah, so that one I'm intrigued by because, again, I saw the first one. I loved the first one. That one, I just did not have time to get to theaters for that one, so it made the queue. Next up on the list, these next two go hand in hand. It's actually a rewatch of the Ken Burns, Jackie Robinson documentary. Part 1 and Part 2 are separate discs.
Okay, I have not seen this movie. So if it's Ken Burns, it's probably very good. But I have not seen this. I know Ken Burns made some waves with his commentary on The Last Dance and his thoughts of it as a documentary feature. But if it's Ken Burns and it's got Jackie Robinson's story, it's got to be pretty decent.
Yeah, I remember watching it on PBS when it came out, and I was enthralled by it, and I sort of threw it on the end of the Netflix queue when I saw the DVD was there. So it got up to number 7 and 8. That's where it is sitting right now in the list. So we'll see where it ends up at the end of the list. But next up, another sports entry, Invincible.
In Invincible, the Mark Wahlberg?
The one about the guy who played for the Eagles.
Yeah, Mark Wahlberg.
Yep.
Vince Papale.
Yep.
Oh, I love that movie. I think I don't know when that came out. That came out a while ago. Have you seen it before?
I have not seen it before.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I haven't seen it in a long time. There's only a few scenes that I remember from it for. Well, okay, Invincible. I thought that's the first time I've heard of that movie in a long time.
Yeah, I remember I actually saw a part of it on TV the other day. I was flipping channels it was on. I was like, you know what? It's on the queue. I have to save it.
I want to make sure it's Vince Papale. I believe that's his name.
That's correct.
It is correct? Okay. I didn't remember that. Yeah, I haven't heard that name in a long time. 2006. Mike, I saw this as like a freshman in high school. My God. Okay. All right.
Yeah, at that point, I was a senior in high school in 2006.
Well, this was a long time ago, but it wasn't bad if I recall. It wasn't bad.
Yeah, and also you are free to ask me any questions or stop if you have any major gripes about anything on this list. So or anything you have any hot.
As of right now, I have no major gripes. I know you're a huge Marvel fan, so I'm not going to begrudge you for watching any Marvel movie.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to begrudge you for that. We haven't gotten to any major discourse.
Okay. Number 10, Christopher Robin.
Oh, this the new one that came out last year?
Yes.
This movie is awesome. It is so good. I cried.
Wow.
I cried. I'm telling you right now, this is getting moved to number 2. This
wow.
is getting moved to Behind a Quiet Place. I love this movie. Oh, this is a kid's movie that's made for adults.
Yeah,
incredible. This movie was so good.
Yeah, I remember when the trailer came out. I was obviously like big invested in it because I think Ewan McGregor is in it. I think he plays grown up Christopher Robin, and we get I think Haley Atwell is in it too, and like those two alone, I'm big fans of, so it drew my attention. Then once I saw like the trailer, I was like, oh, it's got a little heart. I do enjoy that.
Yeah, this movie's gonna make you cry. It made me cry. I probably cried at least once, if not maybe twice. But it's excellent. It is excellent.
Awesome stuff. I'm glad to hear I have a good choice on there. Number 11, one we've discussed before, and one you've said is a bad movie. So I'm curious to see where you think it should go on here. Bohemian Rhapsody.
This movie's a piece of shit. Oh my God. Why? I mean, I guess you have to see it because it was such a big touchstone for the culture, but this movie is hot garbage. It's hot garbage. It's one of the most overblown movies of the past 5 years that I can remember, and yeah, this is not a good movie. It is not a good movie. If it was not Queen, this movie would have gotten panned across the universe. I hope you have Rocket Man on the queue to make up for Bohemian Rhapsody.
Spoiler alert, it is coming.
Excellent. Okay, good.
And the reason why Bohemian Rhapsody is here is because of my love for Rami Malek.
Rami Malek is a fine actor, but guess what? Sometimes actors have really bad movies. And Rami Malek in this movie is good. I don't think he's great. I think he's more doing this is going to sound so hacky, but it sounds like he's doing more of an impersonation at times than acting. That's my biggest gripe with his performance. He's not the worst part of the movie by any means. By any means, he's not the worst, but this is not a good movie.
So what is the worst part of the movie, you think?
The pacing of the movie is just not very good. They rewrite way too much history of it. The amount of convenience that happens in this movie is insane, and you could tell that it went through a series of different directors because there's no there's no coherent pace into the way it's edited, into the way the actors are portraying the roles. There's different visions of the way this movie was meant to be, and it doesn't come together in the end.
All right, sounds interesting. We're back to Marvel number 12, Ant-Man and the Wasp.
I thoroughly enjoyed Ant-Man and the Wasp. I consider Ant-Man and Ant-Man and the Wasp two of the better Marvel movies, and people get angry at me for it, but as pure movies themselves, as not part of the greater cinematic universe of Marvel, these are two of the better movies for me.
Yeah, like, how do you feel compared to the first one? I remember walking into Ant-Man and the Wasp, and I enjoyed it. I think the problem that it had was that its placement right after Infinity War sort of really hurt the momentum of that movie.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, you're not gonna win over crowds after Infinity War. But if I'm looking at my rankings now, let me pull up my Word doc. Let me stall here. Keep on talking. The original Ant-Man, I gave a B plus, I believe, which is pretty good. Now, if we find the Wasp, I gave the Wasp a B. So I gave it slightly less of a grade, but still a very thorough and enjoyable movie.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I remember I was laughing. I do think they gave Michael Payne a little bit too much wiggle room in this movie. I thought they got away from what he did best in the first one, which was the rapid montage storytelling. They got away from that with him, but I think the rest of the movie stood up fine. It was just the problem was it came after a Titan, and then you're sort of left underwhelmed by that when in comparison to Infinity War.
Yeah, it's different from the rest of the Marvel movies because it's a lot more self-contained. So the post-credit scene in Ant-Man and the Wasp is, I think, one of the best in on all the Marvel movies. That post-credit scene got me, and it was good.
It was really good, and we got another heavy hitter coming up at number 13, A Star is Born.
Oh, Michael, this is number one.
Really?
Have you seen this?
I have not. That's why it's on the list. Mike,
I cried the first time I saw this movie. You're already going to get to know me right now. I cried 5 times the first time I saw it. 5 times. I can name all the sequences where I cried. There was happy tears. There was sad tears. This is one of my favorite movies of all time. And I mean that. Objectively, I mean that. It is one of my favorite movies of all time. And I know this soundtrack by heart. I love this movie. I don't care if it was cool to like it or if you were on the train for liking it. I genuinely think this is a great, well-made, well-acted movie, and I loved it. Every single minute of it.
That's an awesome endorsement. I know that I remember when I first heard that they had Lady Gaga acting. I'm not sure about this, and then I've heard really great things.
Oh, Mike, you should cry. I'm telling you, if you have emotions, you will cry. But I love this movie. It was excellent. I was a bubble. I was a puddle of tears when the first time I saw it in the theater.
That's awesome stuff. Good to know. Number 14, one I feel like is to go the opposite end of the spectrum for you. That is Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald.
This movie is another piece of garbage. This is just taking a 180-degree turn. Fantastic Beasts, and this is the second one, right?
Yes.
This is the one with Johnny Depp. This movie stunk as well. Oh my God, this movie is worse than Bohemian Rhapsody, and I mean that. Really did not enjoy this movie.
Yeah, I heard it got panned, which is why I didn't go see it in theaters. I saw the first one in the theaters. The first one I enjoyed, and then I get the sense that they were trying to make a new Harry Potter franchise of this, and this did not land.
No, you should make a main character that people actually like. Because no offense, but nobody likes the main character. He's garbage. I'm forgetting his name. Newt Scamander. Sorry, I forgot his name. That's how boring and bland he is.
Yeah, played by Eddie Redmayne.
Yeah, a good actor, but this movie stinks. Yeah, not even the charisma of a cue ball as Albus Dumbledore can save this movie.
Yeah, that's I'm guessing that's gonna be far down the bottom. I'm curious to see where that lands later. But next up, actually getting a DC movie for the first time in here, Aquaman.
I liked Aquaman. I was impressed with Aquaman. Aquaman is it was the first time DC was kind of self-aware of itself. So I liked Aquaman very much. Jason Momoa was literally the perfect casting for the character. I liked Aquaman very much, more so than I thought.
Yeah, that's what I heard too. Is that people have a lot of expectations for it after Justice League and some of the other garbage that they put out, and then this came out, and they're like, people are like, oh, Aquaman can be fun.
That's the thing. Like if you just look at it as a movie itself, there are definitely some problems with it. Whether it be the plot, the acting, the writing. The writing is bad at times, but just as an experience of you coming out of it, you're gonna have a smile on your face because you're like, oh, I enjoyed my time. It wasn't perfect, but it did the job and it passed the 2 hours. So Aquaman is one of the better DC movies, especially of recent years.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be interesting to see. Number 16, one more Marvel in the well here, Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel, I really liked when I first saw it. I have since tried to revisit it, and I have not been able to finish it because it's not as strong as the first time I remember seeing it. I don't know what was with me in the theater the first time I saw it, but I really enjoyed it. But it's a tough rewatch for me. Tough rewatch.
Yeah, why do you think that is?
I don't know. Maybe it was like just Brie Larson won me over the first time she saw it, like the first time her portraying the character, and it was enough. And she was enough to carry the movie and to make it good. I gave it a really good grade upon first day coming out in theaters, but I also think it doesn't help that in the like Infinity War and an Endgame, she's kind of just more of a bit character who comes in at big moments to save the day. It doesn't play a major part, so she's kind of inconsequential, if you will. And I definitely think that hurt it as well. Because I don't think they know what they're doing with the character yet, and I don't think that was as readily obvious the first time I watched the movie. I think they were confident in the movie they wanted to make, but I still don't think they know what they want from her in the future.
Yeah, I think the problem with that character specifically is I feel like they sort of got blinded by what Black Panther did, and so said, "Oh, we're gonna make the women's version of Black Panther." It didn't quite land that way.
Yeah, that's a good point. There's no way it made the cultural impact of Black Panther, though. Not even remotely close to that.
I think that's what they were trying for. I think that's the problem they had.
Yeah, agreed.
And next up, we're going to stay in the Disney family here. And this is one of the live actions I have not seen yet. Live action Dumbo.
I have not seen this either because I had zero interest to see it. I didn't like Dumbo, the animation movie. I'm not a huge fan of Tim Burton, so I really had no desire to see this movie. And I still haven't seen it. I know it's on Disney Plus. I know I should watch it one day, but it's not high up there in my own queue.
Good to know. And one you asked about before, now we've hit it, Rocket Man.
Yeah, I love Rocket Man. Taron Egerton in this movie was awesome. He got the Golden Globe nomination. This movie was really, really good. It's so much better than Bohemian Rhapsody in almost every single way, shape, and form. Maybe you don't know as many words to all of the songs, but I think you'll be surprised, even if you're not a huge Elton John fan. I like Rocket Man quite a bit, and I'll tell you, depending on what you have left on your queue, but this is going to be a top of your list, near the top of your list.
Yeah, you see, we're starting to get to the point where your influence starts popping up on this list.
Yeah, we'll see. I have a notepad up with all the movies that you've named. I'm shifting them around as you're saying the title, so we'll get there eventually.
Yeah, we will. And number 19, the backstory behind this, I guarantee you've never heard of this because this is something that has been in the queue because it was a project in a film class for our master's degrees that I took that was originally on the list but got switched out because people could not access it readily. It's called When We Were Kings, a documentary about Muhammad Ali.
When We Were Kings. Interesting. I don't think I've seen this. But if it's about Muhammad Ali, then it's going to be an interesting story for sure. Now let me see because when we were no, I have not seen this movie, so I do not know this movie. But it's Muhammad Ali, so it's going to be a good story.
Yeah,
I see it's a fight with him and George Foreman. The Rumble in the Jungle. Interesting, and it won an Oscar. So there we go. I will have to check this out.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I had no idea this existed until the class got taken. Then it was supposed to be like we were going to do a group viewing of it as a class, but since the thing was hybrid, he said, you know what, we'll cancel this one out. We'll swap in something else, and that's what basically happened to that.
All right. Well, this one might be higher up than the Jackie Robinson, just because I don't know as much about Muhammad Ali as I do Jackie Robinson. So I'd be more curious to watch this movie than the Jackie Robinson doc.
I'm intrigued as well. I can't wait to figure that out. Number 20, this is one we've discussed on the podcast. Never got around to seeing it last year because when it came out, it was like in the middle of like my busy season right before I was still helping out with the Rockland Boulders. I was about to help out with my own athletics department. Blinded by the Light.
I have not seen this either. The Bruce Springsteen movie. It is on my HBO Now queue, but I have not seen it either. Curious. This is the third movie in 2 years that centers around the music of a prominent artist. So this one's not a musical per se. I don't think as much as the other two, being Rocketman and Bohemian Rhapsody. But this one is literally on my HBO Now queue. If you have HBO Now or HBO Go, you could watch this right now.
Yeah, this is interesting because I remember we talked about this on the podcast last summer. It was like, I think it's very interesting. The concept was original. I remember it just, the timing did not work out for me. That's the only reason why I didn't go see it in theaters.
Yeah, and it didn't do well in theaters. This movie bombed. So it was not as beloved by the audience like the other two movies were.
Yeah, I think the fact it was not about not actually about Springsteen, but about a teenager who got inspired by Springsteen. I don't think that helped the cause.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept. I think they're hoping more from it critically, and I don't think it no hook grasped into it and kind of pulled it above just the purgatory that it was in. I think that was the biggest thing. Kind of just everyone was like, "This is decent. This is decent." Nobody pulled it up to they're like, "This is excellent standards."
Yeah, I would agree with that. And we're 21 now. We are on the second DC film on the list, Shazam.
I like Shazam quite a bit. I like Shazam because the ending actually surprised me. I didn't know the twist at the ending. Have you seen it?
I have not.
You've not, so I will not spoil. But the ending to Shazam got me a little bit, and I thought Mark Strong was really good as the bad guy, and I thought Zachary Levi was actually good as Shazam too. So Shazam's gonna be high up there. I enjoyed Shazam more than I did Aquaman. Then that's no detriment to Aquaman, but Shazam was a better movie.
Interesting. I did not know that. But I also feel like with me, also, you're starting to. This is one of those where, again, I saw the trailer. I'm like, this looks interesting. Do I want to spend $13 on it? No. Like, I will watch it eventually. That's sort of like the logic of a lot of this.
Yeah, this movie kind of also just embraced the absurdity of the story and of the character, but had a lot more. The levity and the comedy in it was more grounded in the story and not as much as one-liners, if you will, like what Jason Momoa did in Aquaman. So the script itself lended to the comedy more than the charisma of the actor.
That makes sense. Good to know. Next up on the list, a movie that we've talked about, I think, on the year-end pop culture wrap-up podcast. One that you were not as big a fan of as Sandra Rosa was, the Todd Phillips Joker movie.
Yeah, Joker, again, I thought it was good, and I didn't think it was great. I thought the performance was great. But the thing is, this is going to be high up on the list because you should see it, because everyone needs to form their own opinion about it. This is not one where you can listen to anybody else. You need to see it for yourself, because I've rewatched parts of it, especially when it came to like award season, and parts of the movie are really, really good, and they stuck out even more so the second time I watched them. I still think there are problems with it as a movie as a whole, but it's going to be high up on the list because it deserves to have your own critical eye on it.
Okay, that's going to be good. Now I think these next three, they're going to be touch and go here. So this might be where you look at me like, you might be asking this in just about a minute here. You might be going, particularly with 25, you might be going, what the hell's going on
out here? Listen, you have Bohemian Rhapsody, Iron Man 2, and Fantastic Beasts 2. So if it's worse than that, then we're in trouble.
All right, next up, number 23, Won't You Be My Neighbor?
Won't You Be My Neighbor? Is this the Tom Cruise one or the documentary?
I think it's the doc.
I just can't remember. The doc. I've seen the doc. And the doc is excellent. I cried in the documentary, and I knew nothing about Mr. Rogers beforehand. So, Be My Neighbor. If I write this down. I remember this movie was not nominated for an Oscar, and people were balking at it. And I watched it myself, and it was actually one of the last movies I watched in my old apartment, my old house. And it was excellent. So this is going to be high up there because it's an awesome, awesome story, and the amount of testimonials they get about Mr. Rogers. I had no idea the cultural impact he had, and they really do shed a good light on it.
That's good to know. Number 24, a Paul Rudd vehicle. The catcher was a spy.
Can you say that one more time? I don't remember. What? Say one more time?
It was starring Paul Rudd. The Catcher is a Spy. It's a movie about the catcher, like Mo Berg, who ended up being a spy in his later life.
I know nothing about this movie. I know literally nothing. I have never heard of it. The Catcher and the Spy.
Catcher was a spy.
The Catcher was. See, I don't even know the title of the movie. That's how much I don't know about this movie. I don't know where to put this movie on your list. This is going to get a question mark because I literally don't know anything about it. This came out in 2018, and I still don't know anything about it.
Yeah,
I'm not going to lie. That doesn't bode very well.
Yeah, I don't think it did too well with the critics, if I remember correctly.
It does not have a good Metascore. It does not have a good IMDb score. It's only 98 minutes, so even if it's bad, you'll be able to finish it.
Yeah, so that helps.
But, yeah, I don't know anything about this movie. Nothing.
Yeah, all I know is Paul Rudd is the main character. It plays the main character.
He is the main character. That's the only thing I got. And I recognize Tom Wilkinson as an actor, Connie Nielsen as an actress, Mark Strong. So it's got some names that you recognize, but still reviews, as I'm seeing now, are not great.
They are not great. And this next one, this might be the one that might be a contender for the bottom of the list here. Justice League.
Okay, so here's the thing with Justice League. It's not a good movie, but you'll be entertained. The ending of the movie is the biggest problem with it that I have. But there's going to be movies that are lower than Justice League because for as many imperfections as it has, there's still a sense of chaotic action, enjoyment, and entertainment you'll get from it. So it's not a good movie by any means, but it's not awful. It's still disappointing, but it's not terrible.
All right, so we're through the first 25. If we get to the last 8, what do you think about the range of movies that are on this list so far?
I mean, you have a wide range. You have some PBS sports doc with the Ken Burns, Jackie Robinson documentary. You got some critical darlings like A Star Is Born, Christopher Robin, Won't You Be My Neighbor. You got some really shitty blockbusters like Iron Man 2, Bohemian Rhapsody, and Fantastic Beasts 2. You've got a good. The one thing you're missing here, you don't like romance. You're not a big romance guy. No romantic comedies in your life. No horror movies. Absolutely no horror movies whatsoever. You can call A Quiet Place a horror movie, but yeah, I guess that's the only horror movie you have.
You'll keep that in mind.
Those are the only.
Oh, sorry.
Those are the only two. No, those are the only two genres that you're really kind of missing out here on. You got to throw some romantic comedies in your life, man. A Star Is Born's romantic, but let me tell you, it's not a comedy.
Well, keep in mind, you also have a couple of picks you get to put in the queue at the end, so that's something.
I do. I made some notes about some recent movies that I've seen or movies that I think would be good for your list, so I'm keeping that in mind.
Yeah, so I forgot. I actually do have 34 in the queue, so there is one more on the list that I got thrown on recently. So I will keep going here, though.
Okay.
This is the parts of the queue where I feel like you're gonna be very excited about some of these. Number 26, one of your all-time favorites, John Wick.
Oh my God, it's number one. John Wick 2 and 3 better be on your list.
They have the next two.
Good. We're going John Wick 2, and John Wick 3. Excellent. Thank you. You can count your next 3 weekends on me. Those are 1, 2, 3. My favorite action franchise of the past, I don't know when. I own all these movies. I know all the lines, especially to the first 2 movies. John Wick is awesome. It is awesome for anyone who loves action. These are 1, 2, 3 on the list. You gotta see John Wick. Gotta.
Awesome stuff. Because like I said, like you started talking about it in like when you did this June. I'm like, okay, I think that's about when I put John Wick on the queue. I'm like, okay, I have to see these because Stanko loves them.
You know what? I'm probably gonna fall asleep to it now because it's just so. I rewatch the Baba Yaga speech at least once a week, at least. I don't even know. You probably don't even know what that is, but you will know once it happens. And these movies are awesome. If you love action movies, these movies are the cream of the crop, especially of recent times.
Yeah. Good to know. That's going to be 1, 2, and 3. Number 29, Apollo 11.
Oh, this is a really wait. Is it? Yeah, this is the doc, right? Yeah, this is a really good documentary. It is insane. The archival footage and the story they tell with the archival footage. There's no interviews. This is just strictly archival footage that they get for this movie, and it is awesome. This is a better made documentary than Won't You Be My Neighbor because of what the director and everyone involved had to do to compile all this footage and to put it together to make a coherent movie. And this was not nominated for an Oscar, and it would have won an Oscar this year, in my opinion. It should have, from all the documentaries that I saw. Apollo 11 is awesome. It's a crowning achievement in documentary filmmaking.
Yeah, as you can see.
Honestly, this movie made me not want to do a voiceover for my own personal documentary for my grad school thesis, which you know about. Yes. This movie made me be like, nope, I don't want any voiceover. I'll throw in interviews, but I'm not going to have anything like cutting between scenes. I want that natural flow. And this movie really convinced me of that.
It's good to know. I mean, like as you know, like I'm working on one. It's going to be out by the time this podcast comes out, but like I chose to have the narrator just because like my story, the way it was, sort of needed that connective tissue to sort of bridge because I'm covering a wide period of history there. So it's kind of hard to just do it on just interviews.
No, I got you. Yours is a lot more wide breadth than mine. Mine's a very community-centered kind of story. But yeah, Apollo 11, you will appreciate the effort that went into making this, for sure.
All right, final 5 coming up here. Number 30, Yesterday.
Yesterday, a fourth kind of musical journey movie you have on this. I was very disappointed by Yesterday.
Oh, no.
I love the Beatles. I was very disappointed by this movie. I'm not going to say anything more than that. I want you to develop your own opinion. People I've talked to said I looked at it with too critical of an eye. And I may have, but that's the way I look at movies, but I was disappointed in Yesterday.
Okay, that's that one. 31, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. That's the Tom Hanks, Mr. Rogers story.
So I have not seen this yet either. But it's high up on my queue to find a way to watch it. But I mean, I've heard Tom Hanks is great. I heard the movie is very good. Just naturally like a good movie. I heard what people talk about it. I compared it to The Post, another Tom Hanks Meryl Streep movie. It was just good. It's going to get some award attention. Everything about it is just good, and you're going to walk out going, "This is just a good quality movie."
That's awesome to know. And the last 3 heavy hitters. I'm curious to see where they land on the list. Number 32, Knives Out.
Ooh, Knives Out is going to be very, very high because that's probably one of the most fun I had in the movie theater last year. Knives Out is going to be in your top 10 without a doubt. Put it that way.
I'm not surprised. Next one, another award winner, a candidate this year, 1917.
1917 is the most beautiful movie I've seen in recent memory. The cinematography on this movie, I mean, I was aroused in the movie theater. I saw it twice in the movie theater just to see the cinematography. I brought my dad to see it the second time I saw it. So I was like, you have to see this movie. I was gawking at the color schemes that Roger Deakins used in certain sequences and the one takes. This was the most beautifully made movie, just from strictly a visual standpoint last year. It was not the best movie. It should not have won at the Oscars, which I'm glad it didn't, but it got the recognition that it deserved because it's still a crowning achievement.
All right, and last but not least, our Oscar winner for Best Picture, Parasite.
Oh, right. Parasite's going above John Wick because Parasite is the most recent addition to my favorite movies of all time. This movie is literally perfect. I've rewatched it for 3 or 4 times. I've watched it with 2 different people, and they've come out going, "Oh my God, that movie! No idea what was happening." My favorite thing is my buddy Mike Ritz was watching it, and he loves to text me when he's watching new movies that he's known I've seen, and I had 45 unread text messages because I stepped away for 20 minutes of him at the end of this movie going, "What's happening? Oh my God!" This movie kicks ass. It is awesome, awesome, awesome. When I freaked out when this won Best Picture, as you know. So Parasite is incredible.
Yes.
It's just incredible.
Yeah, so that's the complete DVD queue right now. So what are your thoughts on now that you got the entire picture?
So now that I've got the entire picture, you definitely need some romantic comedy in your life. You need to throw in some romance, throw in some comedy, throw in some levity. You have a lot of serious topics here. You got to be able to laugh a little bit. You don't have any oldies. You are not a fan of the old movies. You got to throw in some ancient epics or some movies from the 60s, 70s beforehand. Get a little bit of movie culture in your life. You got to throw in maybe a black and white. And then you got to throw in a horror. I don't know if you're a fan of horror. I understand horror is not for everybody. So before I put my 3 movies on the list that you should watch, I will avoid horror if you don't like horror, because I understand it's not for everybody.
Yeah, I'm not I tend not to be a horror guy. It's usually a genre I tend to avoid. Like A Quiet Place by the First, I venture in that direction.
All right, so I will not recommend a horror movie. Quiet Place it's definitely the scariest movie you'll see on this list. And if you're not a fan of horror, you'll think there are definitely some jumpy moments. But otherwise, it's a pretty good list. You got some award winners, you got some blockbusters, you got some in between, like When We Were Kings. That won an Oscar, but I've never heard of it before. So you've got When We Were Kings though on my mind, and I'm gonna have to check that one out. And The Catcher Was a Spy. Never heard of that. Just didn't know it existed.
All right, so pick. How about you pick your 3? Put them in the list. Don't tell me where they are. I want to be surprised when they pop up.
All right, so I'm gonna filibuster here while I'm sorting through this list because I'm.
Yeah, so I'll talk for a minute, so while you can filibuster, you can work for this stuff. So I think.
Okay. Yeah, please filibuster.
Yeah, so this has been a fun exercise. A little bit of movie talk with Jon Stanko. The next time Jon comes on, I think the thing we're going to discuss really is sort of the idea Jon has brought up off the air. I think is very interesting. It's sort of like a look at how like the state of the movie industry might get changed as a result of this coronavirus pandemic, because now we're starting to see some studios shift stuff to, like online delivery only. We saw Trolls World Tour get pushed online, and now a couple of the major studio chains are upset with Universal. I forget which company put it out, but they said they're not going to screen their movies anymore. We have talks of Disney moved Hamilton. They were actually doing a motion picture release of the original play. They moved that up to just a Disney Plus release in July. So like, yeah, but I feel like now with like this whole atmosphere of like, like lesser economy, like less disposable income people, you wonder, is people going to sit there for like 2 hours, pay $15 to go watch a movie, spend another $10 on popcorn and a drink, and like that's something you don't know how it'll go. And Jon has some thoughts we'll share next time.
Yeah, we will share that next time. Good job filibustering there. You're a professional at this. Very well done. I will tell you that I'm going with the theory with my list here, and I'm trying not to give you back-to-back superhero movies, because I think the effect of a superhero movie gets washed out if you start watching too many of them in a row. So I'm telling you right now that's a theory that is going through my list here. So I have all of your movies here in order of the way that I would watch them, and luckily I did some prep and I did some movies here that I think you should see. So let's see. Now here's a question. I knocked off Parasite because you have it on your queue. Good job. Now I want to make sure you haven't seen these movies. So, have you seen The Lighthouse?
No.
You've not seen The Lighthouse. All right, so Lighthouse is going to go pretty high up because that movie is trippy. So we're going to do this. We're going to put The Lighthouse there. All right, I'm going to throw on a romantic comedy. This is a deep-cut romantic comedy that not many people have seen, but I think is one that's very enjoyable, and it was on Netflix for a long time. I don't know if it still is, but I think it's a great one. Your Sister's Sister.
I've not seen it.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, I don't think. No, you never heard of it. Now, here's the thing. I noticed that on this list you have action hero action movies, if you go, like superhero action movies with lasers or whatever. You don't have like a gritty, like just like a guilty pleasure action movie that's just absurd and the acting is overacting and stuff like that. You don't have one of those. So I'm debating between a movie like that or going with an older black and white movie with some culture and some history behind it. Not saying you aren't uncultured, but one that has gotten critical praise for being how good it was at its time. It's still holding up now.
You know what? Do both.
So, do both. You know what? I love that answer. That's a great answer, and I'm very glad that you said it. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to put on a movie that's classy and that is considered one of the best movies of all time. So I'm putting that on the list there. So we're going to do that. And then I'm going to put on my guilty pleasure movie, my favorite guilty pleasure movie of all time. This is the movie that me and my cousin have recasted countless numbers of times. But I want to put it at the bottom of the list because objectively it's not that great of a movie, but you will love it for how bad it is. Because it's amazing and it's perfect and there's nothing bad about it.
Okay.
All right. So I have my list. I'm ready.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to run through these slowly or so you can write them down, or I can send you the Word doc after too so you can have it.
Yeah, you could.
So you don't need to freak yourself out.
Yeah, you could send me the Word doc. We'll make this easy for the listeners too. I'll post the list online.
How about that? That's a great way. So I'll read down this kind of slowly. But first is Parasite. You got to see it. It's incredible on both a watch standpoint, just from entertainment, and both from a critical standpoint in terms of the way it's made and the way it's written. Remarkable. That's number one. We got John Wick, John Wick 2, John Wick 3, or 2 through 4, just because it's my favorite action series of all time. Those are the only kind of pure action movies you have on this list besides those are only like the 3 action movies you have on the list that are superhero related. And you gotta see those. Star is Born's number 5. I want a picture of your tears after you've seen this movie. I need proof. We're going A Quiet Place at 6. So it's so unique a horror movie, and you have to watch it with. You can't be at any food because it needs to be really quiet, and you have all the lights off. You need to.
So basically, 11 o'clock at night for that one, basically.
Yes, basically. Knives Out is after A Quiet Place because Rian Johnson, again, a really well-written movie. It will go from well-written to really well-made. 1917 is after Knives Out. So after 1917, though, you might be feeling a little dour after a war movie. They might need some uplifting spirits. That's where we watch Christopher Robin to rediscover your sense of innocence.
Is that a 10?
To kind of build. Yes, that's at 10 to build up your childhood again. So that's Christopher Robin.
I will say same.
And then
I will say same spots in the original list.
Well, there we go. So perfect timing. But then, Mike, we're going to strip away your innocence again, and we're going to confuse the hell out of you because I'm throwing The Lighthouse in at number 11. Because right now we're in a quarantine, we're isolated, and this is one of the weirdest, most well-acted, craziest isolation movies I've ever seen. It is bonkers, crazy. This movie stars William Dafoe and Robert Pattinson, and you watching it, you will be so confused, but it's going to stick with you when it's over. There are still visages from this movie that either haunt or put enjoyment in my dreams, and I don't know which way it is because I'm still confused about the movie, but it's in the best way possible. So that's number 11. Then we're going to make you happy again. We'll throw on Rocket Man because Taron Egerton in this movie is just happy-go-lucky, sing some songs, be happy. You'll be inspired, and you'll continue to be inspired when you watch Apollo 11. America, right? We'll tell you the inspiring story of Elton John across the pond. We'll bring it back to America with a really well-made documentary. But then we're going to go into the depravity of America, the chaos with Joker. I think Joker is higher up on this list than probably you might thought it might have been, but it's a movie, again, you need to make your own opinion on, and if you're going to take away all morality and all sense of happiness from Apollo 11, then Joker's the movie to do it. I'm sending you on an emotional roller coaster, Mike. I really am.
It's going to be
sending you on an emotional roller coaster.
There's ups and downs for me on this ride.
Yeah. So after Joker, we have Won't You Be My Neighbor, the documentary, again, to relift your spirits after Joker, to show you there's happiness in the world and that there are good people. Because guess what? Spoiler alert, the Joker's not a good guy. after Won't You Be My Neighbor, we'll get to Deadpool 2. So Won't You Be My Neighbor is G-rated, lovely for everybody. Deadpool 2 is R-rated, not for everybody. So that's a segue there. After Deadpool 2, we go from the unclassiest and most depraved superheroes to a classy, a black and white Orson Welles classic, The Third Man. This is my culture pick for you. This is my cinema history pick. This has one of the best character reveals of all time, if not number one. It is masterfully done in this movie, and it comes at the perfect time. So The Third Man comes after Deadpool 2 on your queue. And that one, I don't know if you've heard of it before, but it is excellent.
I have not heard of it before, so I'm excited to see where this goes.
It's very good. I will admit it's a little bit of a longer movie, so plan your day out for it, but it's very, very good. So after The Third Man, we have When We Were Kings, that Muhammad Ali documentary. That's high up there because I don't know much about it, but it sounds like a great story. So I put that up in the top half of the list. We're just going to go on a series of happy movies here. We're going to go Shazam. It's just a happy action hero movie. A lot of happiness there, a lot of laughs. A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, again centering around the happiness of Mr. Rogers. I do think there are some darker themes in that movie, but I haven't seen it to be sure. But that's what I'm putting that literally like right in the middle of the pack because it's just again it's gonna be a good quality movie. So we got Shazam, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. Then we go Aquaman. Get to some quippy one-liners. Then after that, we're gonna throw you into the culture of Ready Player One. I think you are going to love Ready Player One more than most. If I had to guess, I think you're gonna love it. I think you're gonna be upset that it's this far down low in the queue. So for that, I apologize.
Hey, I trust your judgment.
Thank you. I believe is this the first Marvel movie that I have on the list? I have The Incredible Hulk, which, I mean, to your viewers, is probably blasphemy. Like, they're probably shutting this off right now, and I apologize. But I like this movie more than most. So The Incredible Hulk is the first Marvel movie I have on your queue.
You know,
then I'm going in. What?
So you know what? I can defend that. Also, it's also the last one I've seen at that point is Iron Man, so it'll be next chronologically as well. So that also helps.
That's true. You're right. I was definitely thinking about when making this list for sure. Next we got Invincible with Mark Wahlberg, Vince Papale. Hopefully by this time maybe we have some football to be watching. I don't know how long it takes you to go through movies, but that's what I would put next. That'll be followed up by Ant-Man and the Wasp. After Invincible, then we're going to go back to inspiring human story with Blinded by the Light. And we'll follow that up with Captain America, the First Avenger. Again, people love this movie for Captain America. I really just didn't like this movie too much. Even though it's Tommy Lee Jones and it kind of sparks off the true hero of the Marvel Universe. I wasn't a big fan of the first movie. I just didn't think it was that great. All right, so after Captain America First Avenger, though, this is where we're going to go back-to-back with the Ken Burns, Jackie Robinson documentary. At first, I had a movie splitting this up, but I feel like once you watch the first one, you're going to immediately want to watch the second one. So I won't torture you with that. I'll put these back-to-back.
Appreciate it.
Next up after this is my romantic comedy, Your Sister's Sister. You got to add some levity. You got to add some happiness into your life. This movie's not always happy, but I think it's really subtle in its comedy, and I enjoyed it really much. I was blown away the first time I saw it. Wasn't expecting much and came away very happy. So that's Your Sister's Sister. Then we have Captain Marvel after that, followed by Dumbo, which I have not seen, but it's a Disney live action, so I probably should eventually watch it because Disney runs the world. But I'm just not that inspired by it. After it, I had Yesterday. So that is the last. No, I lied. It's the second to last of the music movies. Let's be real, second to last because there's a reason there's one later after it. Now, after Yesterday, this is my guilty pleasure, Mike. This is my movie where you're going to be watching. You're going to be going, what is this lovable, terrible, amazing piece of garbage that I have on my screen right now. This movie is called Highlander. Have you seen it?
No.
Have you heard of it?
No.
Okay. Well, Mike, there can be only one, and that one is Highlander. This movie rocks. It is it's my ultimate guilty pleasure movie. I rewatched it and did a big ass blog on it the other day. Love Highlander. Love it, love it, love it, love it. So after Highlander is the movie I know nothing about. The Catcher was a spy. Don't know anything about that movie. Just don't. Have no idea. And then so after The Catcher was Spy, I have Justice League. Then I have Iron Man 2. Then I have Bohemian Rhapsody. And wrapping up, last and certainly least, is Fantastic Beasts 2, The Crimes of Grindelwald.
Ouch.
I mean, I'm telling you, like, the last 3 in this list were cemented right away. Like, Iron Man 2, Bohemian Rhapsody, and Fantastic Beasts 2, they were separated from the rest because they are terrible. Like, just, it's nothing. I had no desire to rewatch them ever again.
Yeah, well, that was very helpful, John. I do appreciate you spending almost an hour breaking down my movie preferences here and helping me find the right order to view this in, and also adding some new stuff. That's going to be very interesting for me as I go through these next couple of months in quarantine.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that most of the movies are new for you that you're not rewatching. In fact, I think most of them are, except for the Marvel movies you're probably rewatching. But yeah, no, listen, watching new movies is the way to go. I've seen plenty of them in quarantine. My movie list has grown. So this is there's no better time to be watching movies than right now.
Yeah, indeed. And speaking of like TV, like we'll go back to TV for 1 second. So like, I know every week I have somebody on here, I ask them what's some shows they're watching. I know you've been covering, I think one of the Bachelor spinoffs on your blog, Stanko Stans. Want to talk about that? Some stuff you're watching.
Listen to your heart, baby. Listen to your heart. This TV show should have been hot garbage, but I have enjoyed every single week of it. I don't know why. I'm in the bag for the Bachelor universe. I text friends during it, just bashing the contestants. I do a running dialogue of my inner thoughts for my blog. Listen to your heart. I've been watching. I've also been watching The Last Dance, as you know. But I will say, I have been DVRing The Last Dance on Sundays to watch a different TV show by the name of Killing Eve on Sundays. Have you heard of Killing Eve?
I have.
Killing Eve is excellent. Have you watched Killing Eve?
I have not yet.
Killing Eve is very, very good. The first 2 seasons are on Hulu, and I couldn't recommend it more. Season 3 has been pretty good thus far. Villanelle is one of my all-time TV female ultimate TV crushes of all time. She's amazingly evil, and it's great. So that's a TV show I've been watching, as well as a show called Marcella on Netflix, another BBC crime show. So this one much darker and more depressing than Killing Eve. But I binged Marcella in 3 days. I watched 16 episodes. They're all an hour long. I binge watched it, and then I also binge watched The Bodyguard. I'm going through a British TV show kick right now, and so those are the TV shows that I've watched over the past month.
All right, good stuff, John. Thanks for all the time. I really appreciate it. Giving people all the Stanko they could possibly want for a very long time and more. But before I let you go, I want people to know how to follow you on social media and keep up with Stanko Stance.
Yeah, I have the blog, stankostance.wordpress.com. Feel free to go and give it a click. Eventually see my reviews and my reactions. Also follow me on Twitter, jstanko99, on Instagram, Twitter, all social media platforms. Mike, I finally caved. I made a TikTok.
Yes.
I wouldn't say go check out my profile yet by any means, but I'm also jstanko99 on TikTok as well now.
All right.
I'm hip with the kids.
Yeah, he is hip with the kids. You can check out Stanko on TikTok. Thanks, John.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it.